Greetings, ladies and managers, and welcome to the latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. If I sound a little off in this video, it's because of the dreaded lurgy and a little bit of vocal strain. And I do apologize for that. Anyways, on to the story. The Vow of Favor, written by Slow AD 2584. The High Archivist tapped his stylus on his beak, and obviously displayed distaste, both at the current droll errand that he was assigned to perform, but also to the company he was with. "Oi, Beaky!" the mercenary captain called in his gruff, abrasive bark. The mercenary crew were rough, crude, and only barely legitimate. "What are we drudging out in the strange system for again? There ain't never any of the good spoils that get got in places like that." The High Archivist rolls its entire head like an eyeball that his central grid of crystalline lattice segmented eye was incapable of displaying. He hated being with these brutish, rather porcine thugs. They were gruff, brash, greedy, and were shown to be rather foolishly impulsive. But the High Council thought them an armed security detail was prudent on the uncertain assignment. "Once again, Block, my name is Clickety-Pickety-Boom-Bum, and I already told you 3 times now that we..." "Aye, it's Captain Block, you stalky admin types, and there ain't no way I can ever say that name with a straight face. So pikey it is. Now, remind me again, if you will. I need to know what kind of fighting we might expect." Beaky ruffled his 12 layers of finely layered and woven beaks at the insult of his perfectly normal name, and began again, struggling to remain professional in spite of the insults. "This system has obfuscated its trade logs and hasn't paid its betterment for all tariff in several cycles. We are to assess their situation, determine their reasons for hiding their logs, and calculate and collect on their back tariffs." "Oh, so you're saying they may have gone rogue, and we get to bash some heads? Oh, you hear that, boys?" Yips and growls of excited crewmates sounded from behind the command flag bridge. "Well, possibly. It depends greatly on what we find when we get there." The mercenary ship was a perpetual gray zone of permitted civilian regulations in practically every aspect that was observed. Its far too many anti-asteroid navigation cannons were far too large in caliber and widespread in firing arcs. Its docking clamps were oversized and overpowered, capable of grabbing onto a ship, thrusting and moving under power. Its field repair drones were far too well equipped and were themselves capable of cutting ships in half. Its sensors were far too powerful and brutal to be justified. Without having to look too hard past the many squeaked-by certification licenses, the ship could clearly appear to be a pirate raider. In short time, the ship hyper-jumped into system. Everyone could tell right away there was something unusual here. "Oi, look at the size of that thing," Rock said, with clear avarice in his eyes. It was a ship in far orbit around the populated system world. A gigantic ship, clearly heavily damaged, with pits and jagged holes through its structure visible even at the current distance. It appeared to be derelict, no power or heat coming from the hulk. Now, Beaky said nervously, starting to think his mercenary contingent may go mutiny on this mission at the sight of this admittedly interesting prize. "We are not here to investigate salvage. We are here to speak with the governor about..." "Salvage? Look at that thing. That thing in there is a warship. Just look at all the gun blister things. Oh, that ain't no bloody salvage, Beaky. That's a gold mine. Maybe even a new base of operations. Oh, we are putting things aside for a bit and going to have a look." And there it was, a mutiny. Already. Truth to be told, Beaky was greatly intrigued by the derelict hulk himself, and allowed himself a little excitement to catalogue just what it was about, so guiltily went along for now. As the mercenary ship approached the derelict and deployed its field repair drones that began to spread out and encircle the hulk, the system arose in alert. Broadcast blasted from the surface of the moods. "Halt! Do not board the Grendl. We will prevent any action towards that ship with falsity." Brock scoffed at first, then quieted down when he detected the many police cutters racing to cut their approach off. He wisely stood down and awaited instructions. The system governor himself would be up shortly to meet them at an orbital platform sharing the orbit near the Grendel where they could speak. Beaky beamed excitedly. Well, this worked out just perfectly. As they docked to the orbital platform and walked out, they had a wonderful view of the Hulk through the atmospheric shielding, making the platform an ideal observation place to, do whatever they do with Grendel. The governor shortly arrived, and the introductions were met, with the system police force holding the perimeter around the platform for a time, before returning to base once everything was calm. The mercenary team stood arrayed out in the airlock as a sort of security for Beaky, but all of them were staring at the giant, slowly tumbling ship with greed.
I apologize for my impropriety. My mercenary security team were a little over-curious is all. I am High Archivist Clickety-Bickety-Boom-Bum, and we, why this strange face? Did I say something inappropriate? As I was saying, we have initially come to discuss matters of state, but this strange Hulk has rather caught our attention.
Yes, about that. I am Governor Marshall King. Why the face? Oh, yeah. That is unfortunate that I have to deal with my entire service. In any case, I expect the matters of state and the, Hulk, as you call it, are in fact closely related. We find our tariffs are more adequately suited tending to old Grendel here, as are part of our vow of favor with the old girl and her kin.
Beaky held back his excitement, trying to act professional and not about to jump and hoot around excitedly.
So, does she speak? How did this vow come to fruition?
Oh, no, she doesn't speak. She's quite dead. But there are ghosts in there, that's for sure. Grendel is old enough to have a few tricks to be had.
Beaky leaned forward intently, scanning the derelict hull as it slowly tumbled and rolled a quarter of a mile away.
Very old indeed. By cosmic ray pitting of its armor, such weathering would need a billion years to get that bad?
1.2 billion by our estimate.
Do we know the race?
Unknown.
But don't they?
Long since dust.
What does she want?
To rest for now. The ghost of Grendel is very tired, but her kin spirits made clear the meaning of the vow, and we swore its favor immediately.
Brock snorted in derision. Beaky motioned for him to be silent. It didn't work.
Backworld stupid station, lousy folk tales, bored petty lord daydreams.
He suddenly raised his rifle and racked around.
That's it. I'm taking over this whole operation. He radioed his ship. Get the salvages and scanners powered up.
Cap.
Don't you interrupt me. I'm in the middle of giving orders here. Now that I'm the boss around here, things are going to be...
No, look seriously, Cap. Yeah, look behind you.
Brock spun, expecting an attack or something, and flinched so hard he nearly dropped his rifle, because the Grendel, that had been slowly rolling and spinning, was now stopped, pointing straight at the captain, the gaping maw of its front end looming over him like an amphitheater with its sheer scale. The massive barrel of its spinal mounted gun pointed straight at his chest. A faint dark purple sort of unlight flickered like embers from the jagged tears in the hull, and from the bar bottom end, the massive gun barrel.
What the hell? You mangy fool, you couldn't tell me sooner?
Sorry, Cap, it was spinning so slowly, so naturally. It caught us by surprise. We didn't really notice anything either until we were suddenly looking straight down the barrels of the side blisters. All of them, What are the orders, Captain?
Governor Marshall cleared his throat.
I think it's pretty clear that you should leave the system immediately.
Beaky looked from the governor to his mercenary captain.
Oh, and you're fired. Breach of contract, mutiny, and attempted piracy by my count. Get out of my sight. I'll find my own way home.
Brock blustered as he herded his confused soldiers to the airlock, glancing up at the Grendel, unnervingly still keeping the main gun barrel on his chest as he moved around.
But it's dead ghost ship. Ain't no such thing.
You fool, Beaky said, with a mix of excitement and vindication. Wrong kind of dead. Grendel isn't a ghost ship. She's a zombie ship. The Vow of Favor was to the zombie fleet itself.
Brock shook his head in denial.
Children's stories,
he said as he slammed the airlock shut and his ship rocketed away. As the governor flew the High Archivist down to the world, they chatted.
So, is our system secret and bookkeeping errors safe?
I should think so. You are providing a valued service. Most should never know what's truly going on. But tell me, I must know. What is this Vow of Favor about?
It's an old human Viking thing. As far as we can tell from the interactions, our Vow of Favor is to them is that they can show up and are welcome in to dock and resupply to take without full permission.
Take, what would they ever, want?
It's hard to tell with them. Sometimes it's very expensive refined reactor fuel. Sometimes it's gravel they want. Sometimes they just want to feel pitter-patter of little feet running amongst their passageways. They especially value the spontaneous laughter of children, especially the most warlike ones. They mostly just crave the vibrancy of life from time to time.
Beaky was logging this info as quickly as he could to his private encrypted datapad.
How very interesting. Is Grendl one of the warlike ones?
One of the worst. Poor girl is haunted. That gun she aimed at the captain, that was a blooded cracker. Grendl wasn't a warfighter. She was a conflict ender.
Oh, my. So you show them favor that way. I think I get it. That seems kind of like a steep price, however.
Oh, it's not so bad. The Vow of Favor has two sides of it, after all.
Now I get it again. What favor can the zombie fleet do for you?
You saw a bit of it today. What do you think happens to those who threaten their favorite port of call?
Yes, of course. Well, certainly nothing to report on here. Thank you so much for this rare and incredible insight.
You're very welcome. We would be happy to pay for your return. Let's see, I have to give it a shot. Here, while we were alone. Clickety, bickety, wickety, pickety, boom, boom.
Close enough. Aren't you worried about my former associates spilling the secret?
Oh, those buffoons won't last long. They are being tracked as we speak. Zombie Fleet has a policy for people that point guns at people and take by force what is never theirs, as you may be aware.
Oh, indeed. I certainly am glad we parted ways. I didn't think of that.
End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxzoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.